We're glad, of course, to be with you once again on a very cool, beautiful Wednesday morning. Welcome to your perfect morning starter right here on Channels Television. And I'm always blessed amongst women. I'm Bukola Koka, by the way, and look who's back in Lagos. Hi, Kayode.
Blessed among men sounds like a name. I'm blessed among men. Oh, I'm Bukola Koka as well. Good morning. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
The temperature is about 24. So Lagos is a bit chilled today. But yeah, I'm Kayode Okikile.
Yeah, it's good to have the cold back again. It's been very, very hot, and I don't know whether this is across Nigeria, but it's beautiful to see this happen. Welcome to the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Guys, what have you been tracking, as we always say? Bukola, let's start with you.
Thank you.
Well.
She was looking at me.
Well, we're supposed to hear from you. You just got back from the federal capital. But if you want me to do the honors, why not this morning? We're following up from where we started off yesterday morning. And, of course, the former governor of Delta State has begun to speak on the reason for his defection. And it's a good thing. You know, what's leadership about if you're not going to take responsibility for action, especially when action has monumental consequences? Many have reminded the PDP that, look, the former governor of Delta State is a brand of the party. He was the candidate, the vice presidential candidate of the party in 2023. And, you know, for good reason, you know, that is a defection that is, you know, that impacts negatively on the image of the party if the party is unable to retain, you know, such a key figure. And, you know, he's been talking about how he consulted also with the presidential candidate and former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar before taking such action. And in fact hinted the whole world that the former Vice President is also on his way out of the party. Now, there are key figures in the coalition announced by the former vice president, and one wonders if those key figures would yield to allow the former vice president take the candidacy of whatever coalition that will be going against the APC in 2023. And will they be willing to, you know, sacrifice for another disagreement, you know, that may be the result of another Atiku debacle, as we saw with the PDP in 2023, which is now responsible, you know, majorly for the division of the party. But of course, back to the reason for the defection of former, you know, governor of Delta State, we must also remind him, because he's saying that, you know, he regrets, you know, being the vice presidential candidate in 2023, and that it wasn't even the will of the Delta people in the first place. Who won the presidential election in Delta State? I believe it was the Labour Party that led with over 300,000 votes, and the PDP, you know, got just about over 140,000 votes in that election. So that's exactly not the will of the people. And we must also remind Mr. Okowa also that he was the one that led that Southern Governors Forum, during which they agreed, you know, that the next candidate would come from the South, and many considered his accepting the vice presidential candidacy slot for the PDP as a betrayal. You know, so we're not quite satisfied with the reasons he has put forward. But of course, we must also commend him for being forthright and coming through to explain the reason for his defection. Remember that it is the result that matters, as Kayode reminded us yesterday, and the results are not quite, you know, in line with what you would want as a people. So you should inform your decision in 2027, guys.
Oh, well, nothing surprises me, and I'll maintain that posture. So whether Atiku Abubakar decides to join him, it's not the first time. Atiku Abubakar has done it before in 2014. I see, so first of all, with a greater sense of respect, they are elder statesmen, they are top-notch politicians, they have a right to make their decision and go wherever they choose to go. But when I listen critically to them, it's more about survival than any other thing they want to put out to the public. So when you try to put out anything beyond the real intent, it looks like you're grasping at straw. That's the way I see it. Because I was in a meeting when the South governors, the Southern governors in that sense, were in Port Harcourt. I was covering as a reporter in Port Harcourt when they had that meeting to say the presidential ticket has to go to the South. And guess what? Okowa was the chairman of that forum at that time. I was in that particular meeting at the Port Harcourt Government House. And then, surprisingly, Okowa became a running mate to a northern candidate as against what was agreed in that meeting in Port Harcourt. So politicians will always talk. As Kayode would say, is the result we're looking at. Even if Bola Tinubu decides to defect tomorrow, it's none of my business at the end of the day. So it's about serving the people. That is what is my concern. So for governors, I think when Dave Umahi went to court, they took Dave Umahi to court and Ben Ayade to court. The court decided in their favor. So telling governors, taking them to court and all is just a morality question, perhaps. But when it comes to the issue of the lawmakers, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. I understand the NWC want to approach this differently. I think the PDP is approaching this wrongly. Going to court, they need to put their acts together. And well, we'll not talk about that now at the end of the day, because the party is crumbling. It's now time to say, what can we do to rescue the party than approaching court? But everybody has a right. But as I said, nothing surprises me. They have a right to defect whatever they want to do. But we here, we're looking at the state of the economy, security, human capital development, out of school children, how safe are Nigerians. You guys can just be doing like this, ping pong. It's no problem. With a greater sense of respect.
Oh, yeah. For all you care, you know, it's mind-boggling, really. But the point is, PDP, suck it up, APC, do better. Yes, results, that's what matters for us. Having a conversation with a taxi driver yesterday who said, recently, not 10 years ago, recently, just very few years ago, she, by the way, was filling her tank for, what, 12, 15,000 or thereabouts. Now she has to spend 50,000 plus to fill the tank. That's for a taxi driver. For servicing, what used to cost like maybe 10,000, 8,000 less, now she's spending almost 30,000 Naira. And there are other costs attached. So you just imagine how that person is getting by. So these are the results that really matter to Nigerians. They don't get to the market and say, what party do you belong to and all of that. Yes, we need opposition. We need those systems to work. But what's the point if they're not even working for the average Nigerian? And that's why today on the show, as a people, we need to continually hold the government accountable and ensure that they fulfill their duty of service to us. So, as we gradually shift to yet another electioneering season, 2027, the countdown is really hot. Urgent reforms are needed to restore public trust, and we have a guest to join us for this conversation on the show this morning, and that's where we're starting off from today on the Morning Brief.
And on today's edition of InnovateHer Breakfast, we will be focusing on the tech space, and we'll be joined by the Chief Technology Officer of Hashem. She's Olajumoke Toriola.
And of course, that will not be all on the program. We'll get to look at what the weather and the climate is really all about. As we said this morning, it's getting cold, and I love it. So for those who don't have AC, God is good. For those who have AC, it's time to reduce your bill, because no more on in the AC. So that band A has, you know, band A is not band A. Anyway, I'm just joking, but we're just going to bring you up to speed as to this author, this writer, and whatever the weather is. My climate, your weather.
Exactly. So my climate, your climate.
My climate, your climate.
It's our thing. And of course, what is a show without some letting your hair down, enjoying some of the good things of life? So yes, that instrument, by the way, is one of the most powerful you'd listen to, the saxophone. So we've been having a sit down with gospel saxophonist Adebola Shema as it takes us through his career and how he found purpose with this kind of music. They call it parara on those days, but this is not just parara, this is like divine music. So this is one segment you don't want to miss.
And from there, we may just want to start off with the newspaper review right away, right? So this morning, let's begin with the Vanguard newspapers. And the Vanguard newspaper is also picking on our minds. Take a look at the headline. Defections. PDP goes to court, says APC will soon implode. Interesting. Take a look at the Vanguard newspapers this morning. Take a look at the riders. Tasks its South-South committee to oversee party in Delta. I informed Atiku before defecting, of course. We told about that earlier on. Says he wasn't hounded by the EFCC. Really? Jeffrey?
I'm not the EFCC. Why are you calling my name? Well, he said he was invited. He says he was invited and all of that. But let's get our guest in to bring us up to speed as to his perspective. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Sam Kagbo, joins us. Senior Advocate, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning.
So there's definitely work for you and your colleagues. The PDP is heading to court from the Vanguard. I would like your reaction.
Well, you know, it's their calls to make. And, you know, in this part of the world, we are very litigious. And most of the time, even when we know that it's a lost cause, we go to court because it's an individual. Membership of a party is an individual thing, it's not a group thing, and it's part of one's fundamental right that you cannot obstruct in any form. If an individual believes that Party B is his best call tomorrow and he takes that plunge, what can you do? You've missed him, you've missed him. When you go to court, what's the course of action? Are you saying you shouldn't leave your party? No, yeah, like you said, it's a moral thing. Here, we do not really have parties that are based or grow along principles that are remarkably different from the other parties. They are all the same. Most of the parties are peopled by people who are been the same, with the same ideologies, if at all they have, and they're all looking for the same opportunities, which is grabbing political power. And when they see that where they are is not one that could give them security or the prospect that they think are out there for them, they jump to the other party that they feel will drive them to their, what would I call, their own uhuru. You know, it's unfortunate, but what can you do? They've left your party on whose platform they got into power, but the Constitution did not say they shouldn't. The Constitution addressed legislators, not the executive.
All right, Senior Advocate, let's go to This Nigeria, the front page of This Nigeria. There are two papers, two headlines I would like you to speak to. The ones you've spoken to already. Defection fallout, PDP Okowa in verbal warfare. I regret running with a northern candidate in 2023, ex-Delta governor. We made mistake picking him as vice presidential candidate. PDP laments. I think that's credited to Abba Moro, who was on our sister program yesterday. So I'd like you to speak to that as well. But just beneath that paper, CJN asks NBA to protect bench, warns against frivolous petitions against judges. We saw that released by the CJN yesterday, talking about this, that when investigations are done, the judges are found not to be guilty, and this traumatizes the judges, even saying that these petitions are intended to intimidate the judges. Some are even asking, who really investigate the judges to say that they are not guilty or not? So there is this back and forth that I've been seeing from that. I would like you to speak to it, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. The second one to me is more interesting. The one on the lamentation of those who say they regret choosing Okowa as vice president. The question he asks is, what was the back end reason for them to choose him, if not for the money that he had to spend for their party? I do not think they did a sort of a serious due diligence as to the reason why they chose him. They chose him because he had the money. And now that he has left them, they regret. Well, good luck to them. But let me come back to the one that I think is worth discussing seriously with respect to the PDP members. Very easily, especially for us as lawyers, we vent our own frustration against the bench. And most of the time, we give the wrong impression about what the judges do, and how they do what they do. And instead of us actually educating the public as to what actually is the judicial process about and why many of these impressions about they betraying public trust are unfounded, we by ourselves egg on the people to believe that most of these judgments are judgments not based on factual realities before the court, which is to me very, very unfortunate. Yes, there are bad eggs in the bench, and many of us are disappointed. I have been around for a long time now, more than 3 decades as a lawyer. I can tell you for free that yes, I've experienced very, very sorrowful experiences with some of the members of the bench. But I have always said this, and I will repeat it without any apology to my colleagues, as between the bar and the bench is better in terms of moral content and in terms of doing what they are supposed to be doing. More of the corruption that you see being talked about the bench, most of the time, the drivers of it are members of the bench, especially for us, the senior members of the bench. Yes, it is good for us to be very, very critical of them, but we should be very, very circumspect, knowing that whatever we say is believed by the public. But most of the time, too, the judicial process, especially our own adversarial system, is one that is actually befogging and sometimes very, very confounding, because it's all about the strength of the litigants. If you have very good lawyers who can plead your case very well and are good advocates, they can get away with blue murder. At the end of the day, you turn around and you say, oh, it's the bench. Most of these accusations, I can tell you, are unfair. And I'm not surprised that the CJN is really making the call that it's calling.
And whether you like it or not, the judiciary, bar and the bench, seems to be one of the casualties amid the politicking in the system. And speaking of casualties, let's look at Blueprint newspaper, senior advocate, this morning. While all of the defections and the concerns are ongoing, the real issues of governance, leave more to be desired. Take a look at the headline. Nigeria loses 118 billion naira to gas flaring in 2 months. That's an exclusive by the Blueprint. And there are 2 riders there that give cause for reflection. Shell, NPDC, Mobil Oil, others to pay $141.9 million penalties. And then our homegrown energy transition will achieve zero emission. That's ascribed to Bagudu. I'd like you to speak on this. Are you optimistic in this regard that penalties will be paid? And is this any form of the efficacy of the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill Act in action?
Well, it's difficult really to say, because what we are having here is not something new. I think any adult Nigerian, I would say, grew up meeting this problem: poor management of the cash cow of the country, that is the oil and gas. And gas flaring has been with us for a very, very long time. I do not think there has been any time that one has gone to sleep with the belief that that problem has been solved. To me, it's the general problem of poor management of the public resources, poor management of public space. Service delivery in the public sector is very poor, and it's actually part of the problem of our own development. That is actually the foundation of our own development. And if it is poorly managed, we get what? Poor resources. And I do not see why, up to this time, with all the modern technology, with all that you can borrow here and there for you to address that situation, and yet we still have it. And look at the amount that we are losing. That's good money that could attend to many of these infrastructural problems and social problems that we're having. But what do we have? People who are managing our poor public space are poor managers, and most of the time the reason is because the recruitment process itself is very poor, and the reasons for putting people where they are is not so much for what they are doing. It's not about competence, but basically in terms of the interests that they are meeting and addressing. So I'm not optimistic at all. I think it's still going to be with us like it has always been.
Well, thank you very much, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Sam Karbo, for those insights. These issues clearly they'll be shaping the conversation for the day and the rest of the week, but at least we have some guidance from you. Thank you so much, Senior Advocate.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Now let's head over to what you are saying about the big stories. We told you about the weather in Lagos, but you know what caused that weather is the rains, right? So once the rains come, it brings down the temperature, but it also brings down a lot of water. And the big question is, where do those waters end up? Well, we can tell you for sure that the one that came down around Mobile Estate, that road leading to Emerald Estate, caused quite some havoc, at least for road users, just when the rains came down yesterday. So we're going to show you a video of flood hitting that part of Lagos after rain at Mobile Road of Lekki Ekpe Expressway leading to Emerald Estate. And we'll show you the state of the road. Now, there are lots of questions being asked. What exactly happened? Is it about waste management, indiscriminate dumping of refuse? Is this poor planning? Is this just as a result of the fact that Lagos is, well, is what you call a coastal state? That's what it is. There's a lot of water bodies around it. So is it as a result of that or just a human factor? We're going to show you that video, if we could just put it up any moment. But that has caused concerns for a lot of people because we're still in April. Yes, we're still in April. Don't forget there is still the big rains that will come towards the end of the year. So if we don't have that video, guys, behind the scenes, I think we could just move on to another one. But I think it's just a wake-up call yet again that we need to get serious when it comes to these issues. There you go.
Yeah. There you have it. It's coming through.
This is just the beginning.
You dare not carry your car, or even the keke cannot even pass. I guess that one wanted to. Okay, look at that guy's car. Why should I bring my car here? Imagine. See, why should anybody do that?
Reality of some Lagosians. This is we will see boats now. You know, I know those people at DI. They have a way of just making lemonade out of this situation. So it's a recurrent decimal in Lagos. I don't know whether there's anything that can be done to reverse that or at least minimize it. I think that's what we can say, minimize the impact of nature's wrath when it comes to flooding and all of that. But that's also a wake-up call to the governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the people in charge of that ministry to see what they can do to make life a lot more easier for the people of Lagos State, especially who will be badly affected by this particular flood season or flooding season.
And just to say that that area is Lekki Ekpe Expressway leading to Emerald Estate, Mobile Estate or so. So you could say that, oh, what happened to preparing ahead of the flood, clearing drains and canals? But we know that the island is always hard hit whenever the floods come, and so sometimes it may have very little to do with, you know, preparation, with sanitation of the environment and all of that, but more to do with the particular uniqueness of the terrain. So it goes back to what the state government is doing to ensure that there are mitigation efforts, you know, to ensure that the island is livable. And time and again, we've been, you know, on this conversation. So we may just be back here in a matter of days, but well, we were with the people of the island this morning and through the rains. Let's go to this one that dominated the Nigerian social media space yesterday. That's it. Your favorite juju musician, King Sonia Day, debunking reports that he's been missing. Let's listen to him.
For 70-something hours ago, up to now, the whole world just calling me. And I have to thank God for the love. I wonder why people say I've been kidnapped. One kidnapped me, one kidnapped me. I thank God and I thank the whole nation, the great Nigeria. And thank you from the beginning, from our president of the great nation, Nigeria. I thank everybody for the concern. Ènìyàn bó ní lára dáṣọ lọ, ènìyàn aṣọ yìí ní tí mo fi ń búra.
KSA there, debunking reports, earlier reports, I believe also by a family member that he had been kidnapped by some members of his team, and there were some rather startling revelations that came through about his kidnap as well, something to do with his drugging, blackmailing him, trying to get money from him, and raising an alarm, so to speak. So KSA is saying, no, I've not been kidnapped, but he didn't quite address the other issues, and we hope that this stays there as it is, and we don't have to, talk about the other negative aspects of the report. We hope that it ends, because we love KSA. It is a national jewel. Guys.
There you go. I remember Ashake, there were issues with him and his father. He replied with a song. And you remember Ebenezer Obey as well, with the rumors. He replied with a song. KSA ended the reply with a song. So it's a trend we're seeing, but it's good to see him. But let's move on to this one about the EFCC. The EFCC made the news not once, not twice yesterday, with arrests here and there. And one of the arrests that the EFCC made is of socialite E-Money over alleged Naira abuse. So, yeah, the EFCC has arrested E-Money, who is Case's brother. Right, because just in case you're wondering, yes, he's been arrested by the EFCC over alleged Naira abuse. And let's take a look at what Nigerians are saying. Sammy is the first user, says that the EFCC seems serious about cracking down on Naira abuse. But I wonder how they'll balance this with, this user says, cultural practices, like money spraying at events, something so common in Nigeria. I don't think it's a cultural thing, as deep as that. It's just a thing at parties. I don't think we should target a cultural thing. People just want to show they have money and they sprayed. So I don't think it's a culture. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Is it a cultural thing?
I know people refer to, in the East, that showmanship is always there. Money is a big deal, They are industrious people. And if you see the way they build, if you see the way they party, so it's not, if you go to the East, any party, literally, people spraying money. So perhaps that's why people call it cultural thing.
Because they used to spray cowries then. I don't want to be sprayed cowries,
No, perhaps cowries was not working then. Now that it's notes, they can easily spray. But let's get the next comment. Drug Bar of Lagos says, official EFCC, Chief Okoya's son is Okoya's son is above the law. Up till now, that boy hasn't been arrested or charged to court for abusing our Naira. E-Money spread dollars in Nigeria and was arrested. I don't understand how you guys operate. So that's a question that EFCC should answer. Because I remember that incident where I think the policeman or the police lady, I don't know, was reprimanded, if I understand very well, because of that Okoya's son, or the sons now, the way they were using the Naira in that sense. And everybody was shouting, you are reprimanding the police officer who just held the money. What of the boys who were spraying the money in that sense? So EFCC, Let's find out from you what exactly is going on with your Okoya sons. Did you arrest them? Did you question them?
Well, the EFCC put out a statement that they invited them.
Okay. What's the outcome of the invite?
That's the point. So this happened earlier in the year. It's been how long now? About, is it 3 months now since that invite? And I would hate to believe that it's taken the FCC this long.
See, that is always a problem.
And they've been diligent with the arrest of the e-money.
Yeah, they've arrested Chief Priest. Chief Priest was, no, it wasn't. Bobrisky.
Right.
Bobrisky had to go to jail for that as well. E-money, no, not e-money, now Chief Priest.
Yeah, he didn't go. He found a way around it.
He found a way. They had to settle out because now e-money and all that. But also, okay, we've seen other people as well. So the whole idea is to the effect that let the law be the same for everyone. So it's important that the EFCC comes out to say, you have investigated the Okoya's, the billionaire Okoya's sons. So what's the outcome of that particular investigation? Because if people don't see outcome, they will be referencing this, and it's their right to reference it because it looks like you're biased. So for your sake and for our nation, the integrity of our institution, it's always good to be the rule of law to operate the same way, no matter whose ox is God and who is involved in the situation.
Well, we have one more comment on this one, and it's OneWay24, who says, I think we should have grown up from money spraying by now. It's such a barbaric act. Who are the ones who started it safe? Because I'm sure it's not our culture, as we weren't using paper money from time. Well, good observation there. And Kadi has asked a similar question.
I feel vindicated, right?
Why do you feel vindicated?
But there's a new and emerging culture, you know, from parties in recent times. People acknowledge the fact that some people want to appreciate you as a matter of compulsion, you know, coming to your party, not just to enjoy the refreshments that you offer. So they provide a sort of basket for people to drop the money into, and that is responsible. That shows respect for our currency, the Naira, and that should be, a growing practice that will replace the old law.
Fantastic. So we'll move on back. Guys, I just want to read a comment from this Okowa's statement saying he regrets, I regret accepting the run with Atiku. This Mind Talk says, Nigerian politicians have no honor in their version of politics. There are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. What the shame part, I don't want to talk about it. The interest part is what I want to comment. Okay, guys, so that is how much we can take as far as the issue of what you're saying on X is concerned. Don't forget, we have our WhatsApp number. We have the email as well as your post on X. Those are the ways you can reach us so we can help amplify your voice on the program. Yes, that's a magic number. Messages and videos only. So please do well to send it to us.
Yeah. So let's just know what you think about the EFCC's recent arrest, particularly of e-money. Yes, the Okoya son apologized and all, but do you sense double standards here? So you can send your comments. And hey, is this really a culture thing? Should we just end this once and for all? Because it's against the law. So let us know. You see the number on your screen. Send your comments.
Apologized?
Oh yeah, they put out an apology statement online afterwards. So I don't know if that was the deal, if that was the agreement that was made after the invite or otherwise.
Yes, come and tell us anyway.
Exactly. That's the point.
So it's not them that will tell us. It's
so let us know. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back. So let's talk to the national chairman of the Young Progressives Party, Bishop Amakri, joining us from our Abuja studios. Bishop, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning, my brother.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
Okay. Let me start on a rather funny note. It's quite interesting that when it comes to build up to elections, we really don't see so much of the quote-unquote smaller parties or the parties that don't have the numbers of the big boys moving in that sense, with a greater sense of respect to your party. But we see these movements around the APC, the PDP, the Labour Party and all that. Even the NNPP has joined the fray because I know that Solomon Kawu, I understand he has defected. I think officially will be defecting on the floor. Everybody who is about to defect in that, who has defected in that sense. So tell us what it is about you and your members choosing to stay where you are and staying in the opposition and not joining the fray.
Yeah, thank you so much, my dear brother. Good morning to all of you there. Well, you know, the truth of the matter is that around the political space, you can't take away people living one place to the other. But in this context, I would say there are two things that I would say you find around the political space. Number one, you know, this defection thing people have been talking about, what I call it is political interest defection. And the other one is people's interest projection. Now, those who actually push the agenda of, you know, political interest defection are those who always think about the next election and not the next generation. The next election in the sense that they prioritize politics than governance. And so that's the reason why people don't find it comfortable when they are in a place where, you know, they cannot continue to push further their agenda of their political agenda. In the YPP, I won't tell you that some persons have not left YPP or even YPP have not actually also, you know, welcomed some other new members into the party. You know, politics is about, you know, interests. The moment some people, their interest actually does not resonate with the interests of where they find themselves, they are most likely, you know, to shift to another place where maybe that other place will serve their own interest. So we in the YPP, we believe in staying, you know, steadfast, building an institution that will bring about, you know, new breed of leaders and politicians without greed that will champion the cause of leadership and governance today in Nigeria. And that's why some of us, especially the founding fathers of this party, up till date, are still intact in Young Progressives Party, trying to see how we can nurture this party, trying to see how we can build this party, and of course, continue to, you know, preach the gospel of leadership and governance today in our country. Because the country is faced actually with leadership quagmire. And I think that we should not allow the whole process in the hands of politicians alone. I think that the citizens also have a role to play, you know, in this journey. Stabilizing our political journey or our democratic journey is a multi-stakeholder obligation of all of us. It's not just only the politicians. So I will continue to advise that the citizens do wake up from their slumber. And, you know, of course, any person in this country today knows what is going on today. You know, everybody is feeling the heat. We are, you know, when a country is being hijacked by, you know, kakistocrats and plutocrats, you know, there is nothing that you can get out of it. And the people who are saddled with the responsibility of righting these wrongs are actually the citizens, because the citizens are the ones, you know, paying the price every day. Inflation, name it, all the things that we are faced with today. It is some persons who have cost us all this. And it is not that these people, you know, are more numerical than the people who employ them into office. So I think that we just need to wake up from our slumber and look at what we can do about these things, because the situation is really deteriorating every day, day by day. And when I said the system has been hijacked by kakistocrats and plutocrats, I have my reason of why I'm saying so. A situation where you have great number of incompetent people leading almost how many? Almost over 200 million of Nigerians. Okay, and we are not getting to where we desire to be. Tell me today, what can we say today that is working as we speak in this country?
Oh, Mr. Makere.
When our children are out of school, poverty, day by day, people are lavishing in poverty.
Well, Mr. Makere,
and we are not addressing. These are very fundamental issues that I think our leaders should prioritize.
Indeed, they are. And as you said, we've had members from your party move into other parties. If you can hear me, Mr. Makary. You said earlier on, and you confirmed that we had people from your party move into other parties.
Yes, I think at some point I lost the signal. But
that's no worries about that. So we've had members of your party move to the APC, APGA, and all of that. So perhaps they're part of what you've described as a plutocracy and kakistocracy. But, you know, I want you to speak to an issue, because what we're really faced with right now, as you said.
No, when I say plutocrats and kakistocrats, you can't ascribe that to us, because I don't think Young Progressive Party has been given any.
No, I'm referring to the people who moved from your party. I'm referring to the people who moved from your party to either the party in leadership at the national level or at the state level, like Anambra State. That's what I'm referring to, the people who left your party, as you agreed with earlier. But that's not even my question. My question is this. For the Nigerian people who pre-2015, and it's important to track history, so we understand how we got here. Pre-2015, there was a lot of support for the opposition then, groundswell support for the APC then, because for a lot of people, they were tired of the party in power, the PDP, and the APC looked promising. In fact, that promise was like El Dorado. It was like heaven for a lot of people. So they went through that process. You had people who had never been political. They joined political parties, the opposition then, just to get the ruling party out of power. And that happened, and we're where we are today. And I don't even want to get deep into that one. But the question is this. The people may appear jaded, because they've gone through this. They wonder, opposition never really works. It's when they taste power that they start to find their way around, and then they completely make a mess of things. So what kind of message would you be bringing to the Nigerian people as an opposition party for them to have hope, and I'll use renewed hope in opposition, yet again, after what they have gone through in the past? Do you have any new message for them, Mr. Makary?
Yeah, Kyrie, thank you so much. You see, there is nothing wrong in people continuing to try, you know, something, you know, hoping that someday it's going to be corrected. People make mistakes. In our daily lives, we make mistakes. If there are no mistakes, there cannot be correction, okay? And if there are no problems, you know, there cannot be solutions. So the fact that we make mistake does not mean, you know, it is over. No. The people have made previous mistakes. Yes, let's agree that that was a mistake. But the good thing is that there is always another chance. You know, the chances do come. When are these chances? During electioneering season. Those are the most critical time that people should actually have an introspect to themselves and now do a comparative analysis as to whether have they enjoyed these promises that these people made to them, or is it commensurate? What they're having today, is it commensurate with what, you know, the people have promised them? So the people, I keep saying that the people have a choice. They are critical stakeholders. If you look at the number of, you know, these elective persons, they are just a very small number out of these number that I have mentioned before, out of how many million population. And you think that, put together all the numbers of the elective positions in Nigeria, I don't think they are up to 2,000 persons. Maybe if you have 109 national senators, you have 360 as of rep, put together 400 and something. You have 36 governors, and you have the president and the vice president. You put these numbers together, are they up to 1,000? They are not up to 1,000. And now the people who go to vote these people in are in their millions. You know, so what it means is that the people who vote them in have more power than they do. Because it's when you employ somebody that the person can assume office. Okay? So I am saying going forward that the people need to really wake up from their slumber. I don't think that Nigerians deserve what it's getting today as in terms of leadership. And we can't continue to, you know, cast aspersions or to criticize when we have the opportunity to do the right thing, you know. You just mentioned 2015, build up to 2015 election. The APC came with the slogan of change. People were not even ready to interrogate at that time. You know, like you rightly said, because people were so desperate for a change. That was what you say. But if you even look at the scenario that played at that time, was it really true that people really wanted a change, or some persons actually pushed a narrative, giving, you know, somebody a bad name, all just in the name that they really wanted to take out somebody and bring in somebody? And that's why I said a system has been hijacked, you know, by kakistocrats and plutocrats. Government of the wealthy, government of the incompetent. Now the people have the opportunity at every given time to right their wrongs. That the fact that people have made mistakes before does not mean that they should continue making the mistakes. So I throw this challenge back to the people, and not even the electorate, not even the politicians of my class. You know, if a YPP, for example, has been given an opportunity and they are not doing the right thing, the people should vote YPP out. If APC or PDP has been given opportunity for almost how many years that we have returned to this democracy, can we say, Kayode, even you yourself, let's be realistic to ourselves, in all honesty, can you say today Nigeria is on the right track? And this problem actually did not even start from the Tinubu era. I'm saying even from the days that we returned to democracy, okay, yeah. What can we say the PDP itself has done for Nigeria? Maybe you can have a little bit of fresh air that time, not fresh air, let me say, because if we are to compare during the times of the PDP, and, you know, I've never been a card-carrying member of PDP anyway, and but Mr. Macri, if we are to even compare, yes.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you acknowledged earlier that, you know, some members of your party are also defecting to, you know, other political parties. And there is real concern in that regard, particularly amid, you know, what seems to be a celebration of leaders of the APC, that the National Assembly, the upper chamber to be specific, is now nearly dominated by the All Progressives Congress. And one wonders what impact that will have on legislation and policy under this administration. We don't even know if your own plans to replace the late Senator Ifeanyi, God rest his soul, will be successful if it would not go to APGA or the APC. But we'll look at that much later on. You criticize this defection as, you know, an emergence of kakistocrats and plutocrats popularized by a senator of, ironically, of the APC. But your candidate for the governorship election in Anambra State is said to be a former auditor of the All Progressives Congress who has defected to your party, and your party has welcomed that candidate. Are you not part of the problem? And what has been responsible for this exchange, you know, for the defection to your party in order to secure the ticket of your party for the governorship election in Anambra State in 2025?
Thank you. A very interesting question. I like that question. But I need to let you know, that's why even from my start of the conversation, I told you there are two types of defection. First is political interest defection, and the other one is people's interest projection. The defection you just mentioned, our candidate now in Anambra election, yes, his history is from APC. But the question you need to ask is, has he ever been any elective, I'm talking about in terms of governance, has he ever been an elective person, whether as a governor or even as a House of Assembly member or rep or a president? And the answer is no. So you can't judge it from that perspective. Now, without prejudice to also the Constitution of Nigeria that gives people the right of freedom of association, you know, and participation. People have the right to move to everywhere. And I can give you an example. Even as we speak today, in this, your studio, your Channels TV, we have had people who have left this Channels TV working in another.
Mr. Makri, is not a problem that Mr. Chukuma has worked for the kakistocrats and plutocrats. It's not a problem for your party.
No. Mr. Chukuma was not working for kakistocrats. Mr. Chukuma was pursuing his ambition. Because how can you know a kakistocrat or a plutocrat? You can't assess a student without engaging that student in an examination. So he has been there, and he has seen that, no, that place is not a place he wants to continue to serve his people. Go back to Anambra and ask about Paul Chukuma, what he has done to his people at the grassroots. And when he has come to conclusion that, oh, what I wanted to do was to have a seat of power that I can advance further, you know, for my people, what my people desire in terms of governance. And the party denied him that opportunity.
Mr. Makri.
So, and that's the beauty of a multi-party system.
Mr. Makri.
When Ifan Yuba, and I'm coming, I want to take you somewhere. When Ifan Yuba was in YPP, go to Anambra South senatorial district and see what Ifan Yuba was doing for the people of Anambra South. Don't forget, Ifan Yuba came from Abga. He was in PDP. He was also in Abga. In fact, he started from Labour, and then PDP, and later on Abga, and then YPP. Okay? But whilst he was in those parties, he was not able, you know, to ascend to any political office until when YPP gave him that grace, that political grace, you know, and he became a senator under YPP. And the records are there. Go and see what Ifan Yuba did in Anambra South Senatorial, you know, district.
All right, Mr. Makri, just a moment. Mr. Makri, so let's talk about let's talk about the general state of the opposition political parties as it is. So first question will be, are you in talks with this whole idea of the coalition in that sense? And how far are you willing to go as a political party? Because I did listen to a few persons, and they're saying, look, and it's almost impossible not to agree with them, that if there's any chance of unseating Bola Tinubu for those who want him out, coalition is the best way to go. Because look at the state of the PDP, for instance, look at the state of the Labour Party, and then we can go on and on with other political parties. So is that the right direction to go? Because from what you say, apparently you're not satisfied, just like a lot of Nigerians look at the state of the nation and say, this is not the renewed hope they are looking at because things are tougher and some people want him out. So are you talking to that coalition group, and what's the end game for you?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I think that the coalition you're talking about is an holistic coalition. So I tilt more towards the downtrodden coalition. I'm more interested when the downtrodden have decided, and that's why we prefer to talk more with the grassroots, you know, people, because they are the real people who the power is vested on to do the real change that this country desires. So the holistic coalition might not, yes, they have started provoking the conversation of such coalition, but I am not too more into that kind of concept, because the one that, you know, they introduced to us 2015, right? It didn't. Where has it taken us to today? It has not yielded any positive result, because 2015 was a coalition of the elites also, where some persons left one party and almost bring the party to her knees, and this is the result of what we are getting today. Okay, so I think the coalition, for me, that I'm more interested on, and the people, Nigerians should be more interested in, is the people's coalition. That's why I said, now it is important we begin to engage the people, maybe political literacy, conscientization, so that we can reawaken the consciences of people as to, going forward, the kind of people have to, you know, beam their searchlight on when they are making their choices. political parties that have failed in terms of leadership recruitment process should be punished, okay? And that is the reason why in a multi-party system, we have a country that has about 19 political parties, right?
Mr. Makri, my apologies.
19 political
my apologies.
parties or whatever.
Just a moment. What you're saying sounds great, but it sounds more idealistic than reality. Don't you think so? This is an institution, a formidable institution that even the next biggest political party is now a place like Delta State, literally uprooting its entire structure and handing it over on a platter of gold to APC. And that is how far they are going to make sure that Bola Tinubu, the president, is re-elected. And so that's what I'm asking, are you being realistic here in that sense?
Yes. Yes, I'm being realistic, and I stand on my position that it is possible to actually uproot a system that has underperformed and is not working. The people at every given time are the ones that will take such decision. This structure you talk about, is it not human beings that are the structures? Now, let me also tell you, Geoffrey, there is no political party today in Nigeria that has the numerical strength to actually vote a candidate into power. Tell me, how many numbers are they? Which political parties have up to, let's say, 8 million? Is it President Bola Tinubu's voting number? All the people that voted for President Bola Tinubu, you know, are they APC members? So it is, that's why I keep saying that I think what we should begin to, the conversation we should bring on the table now is how we can begin to engage our citizens. I just mentioned about political conscientization. We just need to begin, and it is the duty of all of us. I just said this conversation or this uphill task is a multi-stakeholder obligation of all of us, including you, the media house. We have to conscientize our people. If politicians have actually taken our people for granted, maybe the docility of our people or gullibility of our people, these politicians are continuing to take advantage of it and to continue to do their things the way they want it. And I'm saying repeatedly that we need to begin to punish them during electioneering seasons. For example, I see no reason why somebody cannot reject any inducement, any form of inducement, of monetary inducement or whatever inducement, and say to that person, no, we are not taking your money. We are not taking your rice you are bringing to us. We are not taking all these groceries that they go sharing during electioneering seasons. Those things are inducement, and it is a deliberate thing because they know that they have weaponized hunger in this country, and they know, look, in some part of this country, I will not need to mention names, but I am aware that there are some parts of this country that you go, and some governors go back. What they do, they will be sharing money, and the people will be following them. You know, stampedes everywhere, people falling down, scrambling for how to, get hold of 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira. Those things is crazy.
Okay.
I think Nigeria should wake up and begin to have a more critical analysis in governance. Look, why should somebody even come to be inducing you during electioneering season? Right, let the performance of that person be a yardstick for a re-election bid.
All right, Bishop.
These are the things.
Yeah, great points you've made, and we've noted this point. I'm sure the audience also knows that. We must thank you for coming on the program. As a matter of fact, in the next few days, it's going to be the month of May. Is it a few days now? Is it not few? Maybe 24 hours or 48 hours. Tomorrow is the month of May. Yes, I just got that correction. So tomorrow is May, and that's going to be exactly the midterm of the administration of Bola Tinubu, the president, as well as every other person who was voted in 2023. We must thank you so much, the national chairman of the YPP, Bishop Makri, for joining us on the program. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you, as always. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll switch gears to another part of the conversation. Join us in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. So from politics, let's, transit into another conversation just as important, talking about visionary leadership and, of course, where women are concerned. We're going into the tech space now, and our guest this morning is Olajumoke Toriola. She's the Chief Technology Officer, Hashem Limited, co-founder, Textilers, Microsoft Regional Director, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and hosts C-Suite Corner with MJ, and founder, Nigeria M365 Community. She joins us virtually from the United Kingdom. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And so in Nigeria, we'll say all of that, only you. So walk us through your journey, how you got all these feathers on your cap.
Well, thank you so much once again for having me. I mean, I'll say it's quite a journey, as you said. It's been a very interesting, challenging, but I'll say very rewarding journey. I think my initial plan was to become a medical doctor. I actually wanted to go in for medicine. I think, but during that period, there was some sort of, all this catchment area, and then when you do your JAMB and all of that, you did not get up to the cutoff mark. I think the cutoff mark then was 235, and I had 232. And then, it being my state of origin, Ogun State, I was like, why wouldn't they accept me? And then I saw one of my classmates that was there, and then she got admitted into the same for medicine, and then with a lower grade, just because she's from these educational disadvantaged states. So I was kind of just angry, and I just left, and I just went and then I found myself in Yaba Tech reading electrical engineering, and that's where I started my journey. I think that was where I started my journey into tech, because that was a STEM-related course I was reading, electrical engineering. And then when I finished that, I transitioned straight to app tech. I mean, to have the advanced network engineering and diploma and all of that. And then immediately I finished, I started working, just moving into Hashem. And I've been in Hashem ever since then. I started as a trainee. So when people see, I like this part of the question you asked me, that how did I transition to my journey, all of that. When people hear, oh, maybe you're a chief technology officer, you got into that peak of your career, they all think you just land there. So there's always a process. For me, I started even as a trainee. And then from a training transition to a team lead, from a team lead to a manager, and then here I am as a chief technology officer of Hashem. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my life growing up is actually to give back to the community, which is one of the reasons why some of this outreach you mentioned, like the Textilers, like the Nigerian M365 community and all of that, was started. And then starting all of those journey was what made that was what gave me the recognition. I mean, the recognition from all of these industry leaders like Microsoft and then the rest, just to acknowledge that you have played a significant role in propagating the knowledge of the technology to the community around you. And then this is how the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional and Microsoft Regional Director came about.
And that's beautiful to hear your story, and that's what we're all about on InnovateHer Breakfast right here on the Morning Brief. We spotlight women who are doing great stuff, innovative things in the tech system, or the tech ecosystem as it is called. I mean, looking through your profile, yes, it is just amazing to see. For some, it might be intimidating, which is good, right? So other women can see that I can do it if she can do it. But I want to speak to the point around, giving back to the community or to the society. I know that part of your work at your company is software development. You're also an independent software vendor, if I'm correct, working with Microsoft and others. And it's always been said that technology is expensive. It's not just said, that's evidential. It's what it is, right? So you have all these companies investing millions, billions of dollars into software and all of that. So naturally, when they want to sell it, they have to sell it at a reasonable price so they can recoup. Then you bring that to our context as a nation, right? And you have a lot of people opting for pirated software instead. I mean, you know these things. So how were you able to surmount that challenge, seeing the economic reality of Nigeria and the fact that we need these softwares, right, at least to measure up to the world? So how were you able to surmount that challenge of the economic context and the obvious cost of these softwares, which sometimes are beyond reach?
All right, thank you, Kayode, for that question. And I think for us in Ashem, what we've tried to do in our company is to ensure that we match all our delivery with excellence, which is quite very important. Now, people will pay for value even when the odds are there around the challenges of the economy and all of that. Sometimes we have to also do some sort of a mix and match, because when you see the customer and you look at the customer's portfolio, and then you do an assessment of their profile to see if they can afford or they cannot afford. So you do like a mix of match. You have to step down at one point. You have to stay put at where you are. I mean, at the cost you're trying to deliver the service. But most importantly, what we have seen and we've done very well is that our value speaks for itself. And because value speaks for itself, people tend to pay for value even when it may be a little bit expensive, but people pay for value. And so what we have done is to strategically do a sort of profiling for our customers. We look at our customers' portfolio and we say, oh, if this customer can afford this, even though this is what is obtainable ordinarily we should get from the market, we'll do a little bit of step down. And if we feel that, okay, this customer can actually go for it, we do that also, and then just get from the customer. So most importantly is to be flexible around the market, and that's what we've been doing based on the economic situation of the country.
But are we able to, as a nation, be, I don't want to say self-sufficient, because nobody should really be self-sufficient. It's a global village. We should rely on each other. But how much of sufficiency have we been able to build as a nation such that we're able to develop some of the softwares in-house? We have talents in-house that have not jackpot, that are, ensuring that as a nation, we can at least stand on our own and say, these ones, we have it on lockdown. So if they flip the switch anywhere, either in California or in China, we're still at least safe.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've done in Ashem is that we've done around the jackpot syndrome, really. Because, we can't deny the fact that the jackpot syndrome is everywhere. But you see, when your staff is existing your company, it is not a moment for when you, how will I put it, fight them. If for lack of a better word, but I'll use that word, fight them. I think it is a period for you to rather establish a long-lasting relationship with them. So if they leave the company, one of the things that we've done is to weigh our options. Initially when the Japa syndrome started, it affected us also, just like it affected every other company. And then we're like, how are we going to cope? Because the staff turnaround right now is quite very high and all of those situations. But what I do most of the time is to put my cards on the table and then look at what are my adaptability options in this case, and then try to establish a relationship with the same people that have left the country, and then we can continue to still reuse the talents that they have. So why some of them leave Nigeria, we look at, where are you going? So if you're going to a particular country that is, the time zone is favorable for us, we still use them as consultants for ourselves. So we use them as consultants for ourselves. And most importantly is that we have a mentorship program that runs like every 2 years, like on a yearly basis, to be honest. So we recruit graduates, and then we have this training and mentorship cycle that goes around. So we're able to reproduce talents So as those set of people are leaving the country, we are making sure that the next set of people are actually can take over from them. And where there is a little bit of that, probably maybe they can't move up to the speed immediately, we ensure that we retain those set of people in a consultancy role, which means they're still working for us, and then we can now strike a balance around the time zone. So, I mean, that's the workaround for us in the Japa syndrome situation.
Let's talk about how you feel that government should approach this. I like the way you look at it, more like, okay, I can't stop you from moving, but what can I do in terms of leverage? So what can government at the policy level do in terms of leverage for some of these talents? I know that somebody was saying this jackpot thing we've talked about, say in the last 5 years, perhaps maybe about 1 million or 2 million, if that ratio is put side by side, juxtapose it with our population, is technically insignificant or marginally just there. But these are human resources in that sense that we are losing in terms of brain drain. But if there's nothing we can do because we're not fixing our country to make them stay, what can government do beyond some of the policy direction that sometimes speculate? I remember we've talked about some nursing people here who were talking about some policies, I think of the federal government or so, that implicitly tries to restrict them in that sense from moving, not expressly. So what can government do to leverage? Because China, for instance, at some point looked at themselves and said, if we want to open up this community economy, besides all this free trade zone area, let's front load this talent and look at the results today. They are quietly ahead of America. America is just confused on how to approach China. What do you think should be done from the policy level of government?
Okay, so from the government perspective, to be honest, I mean, I've had this discussion a lot of times with people, and then what is very important we should notice that people are meant to, the way God created us, we're not supposed to stay in one place. So people are meant to live. And it's sad that a lot of people are leaving Nigeria just because of the economic situation of Nigeria, and probably maybe because the environment is not conducive enough for growth. It's quite very disturbing. If people are leaving just because maybe they're going for vacation, that's understandable. But when you have a situation of brain drain and a lot of your skilled people leaving the country, especially in the technological aspects, the technology-wise, leaving your country just because they want a better life, then it calls for a serious deliberation that the government should actually look into. And if I were to propose, I'm not going to say that they're going to bring up like a policy to say, oh, people have to stay behind. If people are staying behind, is there an enabling environment to thrive or to grow while they're staying behind? So I'm not going to canvass for, oh, put up a policy and restrict people from going outside the country, because that is a counter effort even to the real solution. I think the real solution is allowing the environment to be conducive for people, that they can be able to grow, to do their business and all of that. Now, with that being said, another thing that they can do is from the technology. So when you speak of China, if you look at the way China grew its economy and then they grow their technology space, they start even from the primary, from the kindergarten stage. That's one thing Nigeria has not achieved. If you give a phone to a 2-year, you will be surprised of what they can do with it. So immediately, I think the policy we should start doing is to see how we infuse technology at the early stage in the primary or in the secondary schools. People don't need to wait, because that's what we have. Even our graduates today, when they come out, they're not job ready, because technology-wise, the gap is quite very wide. So you find that they are not job ready because, okay, what technology are you? What skills do you have? Those are things that they need to really correct. But what is important is, let's see how even from the secondary, from the primary school, people can the policy that we encourage technology to be infused immediately, where you have competitions among younger fellows that can build or solve problems. You'll be surprised with what they can do. I just want to touch on something that we do in Ashen. We run this boot camp for children, and then people, it's not just in Nigeria. We have people joining from outside the country. And then one of the things we do also is that we go as far as saying maybe go to the secondary schools or the primary schools, to those schools that are less privileged, to pick the less privileged. And you'll find out, surprisingly, that the less privileged children are doing fantastically well. You will be surprised at the amazing things they can build around robotic technology, around the things, even in UI, UX, low code, all of those things. You'll be surprised. So if we see a policies that that can encourage this, we'll find out that even when people are leaving, it may not really be a lot of issues, because we can actually make use of people in the secondary school or in the university to actually solve our own problem. So those are some of the things we need to look at. Because if you look at the situation right now, and in the educational system, they're telling students to stay home or to say, oh, probably maybe until you are a certain age. Those are counter effort even to the growth. So you see policies that should have been made to say encourage the the knowledge that is transferred at a younger age to those children. You're seeing policies that are coming up that are counter-productive to all of the situations that would have helped us to solve our problems. So I feel that the policy should rather be infuse technology. And I mean infuse technology, not just the basic technology. When I was in school, till I finished my school, the computer, I was staring at the computer. I never touched my computer.
So I'd like you to, from this point, help government with a more vivid description of what the policies would be if you described what your challenges are in building these innovation hubs for these children in these boot camps. What are the challenges encountered in achieving a vibrant ecosystem by tech experts? And while you are, describing that, more often than not, when we talk with resource persons on this segment, they talk about, oh, I'm the only one in the room, and there's a need for more women, to get into the tech space. What are the things that you find that, limit the participation of more women in the tech space?
Okay, so it's back to the first question of saying what are the ways that we can. Now, like I said, first thing, let's all see how we can encourage a situation where we have some form of hackathons introduced even to the secondary schools. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about public schools. Let's see tools that are introduced to those public schools in terms of laptops for them. We can leverage on organizations to donate, all of the, maybe the banks or any of them to donate, the OEMs to donate, and see those children, the curriculum. The first thing is that our curriculum needs to change. Our curriculum just doesn't have to be those basic computers that just say, oh, what is a computer? Let people be able to interact with the computer itself. Let these children be able to interact with it and then work on it. And then secondly, the teachers that are teaching them, I think they need a lot of orientation. They need a lot of training themselves, our public teachers, because you can only pass what you have. So our teachers need to be really trained on the technology. The technology is moving. We have the era of AI. We have the destructive, all of the destructive features of AI coming up right now. A lot of us are still behind in Nigeria. We don't even know. So teachers need to be trained. They need those orientation. They can pass it over, and then the tools need to be provided. And then, so we can now start encouraging a sort of hackathon or competitions between primary schools to secondary schools and all of that. And not just any kind of hackathons, we're looking at problem-specific solutions that children can come up with. They start thinking from the early stage to say, oh, this is the problem we have in my own community. What are the things I can use to solve it? And then they come up with ideas, and then people are guided. So you can make use of the tech community that are around to support all of these initiatives. I mean, that's one of the things that I would suggest that the government do. And then in terms of changing the narrative for the children. Then when you talk about, so the other question of when you have women in the room alone and they're probably maybe you are the only one in the room, some of the barriers or some of the challenges that women face being sometimes, to be honest, I'll tell you that a lot of times I've had issues with this conversation that people will tell you that even if you put 10 people in the room and 7 are men and 3 are women, and then you finish training them and then you ask them to come back, you find that if 5 people are coming back, maybe just 1 woman will be among those 5 people. So sometimes the argument has always been there's always been that equal opportunity, but women don't take advantage of it. And I think there are a lot of reasons why you have that. Well, we can talk about from the home front. You can talk about even situations for probably maybe the lack of confidence, because sometimes, let me be honest, women struggle with that self-value and self-confidence a lot.
All right. Thank you so much. Your recommendations are exciting, and your experience is much needed back home. So we hope that we can get you back. We've been talking with Olajumoke Toriola. She's the Chief Technology Officer, Hashem Limited, co-founder, Textiles, Microsoft Regional Director, among so many other things. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, from here, we'll be moving to another ecosystem. This time, it's the weather. We'll take a break, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us.
So yes, we're going to meet him in person. Today on the show, we're joined by Climate Bender. That's what he's known as in the social media space, in the climate space. But his real name is Abdurrahman Ali Maina. He's live with us from our Abuja studio, climate change activist, 15 years old. Good morning, Abdurrahman. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning.
Lots of questions running through my mind. It's beautiful to see that you've taken up this cause. You could be playing video games, right? You could be playing football, basketball, tennis, swimming, doing your assignments. You know, I imagine you do all of that. But why climate activism for you?
Honestly, it's the troubles that I've seen people in because of climate change, the amount of suffering that I've seen. And also, I could relate to all those heat waves and hurricanes and floods that are caused by climate change. And so I decided to help. If there's no one there, I decided to, be there to help people.
And you started this 6 years plus ago. I think you were 9 or thereabouts when you started this. And some have said, you're one of the youngest climate change activists in this part of the world. I'd like to know what kind of feedback you have gotten, because some will say that is carrying the burden of an older person, right, carried on yourself. But some have said it's never too early to start, right? So speak to us about the feedback you've gotten, the kind of improvements you have seen in perhaps young people, older people, in the past 6 years that you've taken up this course.
Honestly, I've gotten a lot of social media traction because of the climate change things that I've done. I've been getting up to 60,000 views on my social media, and I hope to translate it to the real world with my new book. It's called Climate Bender Adventures. This is the worksheet. The book is coming out November, but the worksheet right now is here to help children understand what climate change is, and I'll be using this on school tours to, teach young children climate change and the dangers of climate change and how they should start acting now before it's too late.
So talk to us about maybe a particular experience or story or incident in that sense that just gave you that shift to say, okay, I'll take this beyond just talk. I want to do something actively starting with children?
Honestly, when I was 12 years old in JSS1, my teacher taught me about climate change, and I was like, yo, this is just another topic. But when he talked about all the gases that come from cars and the heat waves that we've been getting, I realized that, hey, this is actually happening in the real world, and all those gases that are coming out from cars are suffocating. And I was like, I need to ask questions, and I asked a lot of questions to my teacher. And at some point, he got tired of answering my question, and he was like, just go and have some research on Google. And that's where I got in-depth into the topic, and I was like, this is actually a real world problem, and I need to, what's it called, advocate for climate change and inform people about, give awareness to people about this climate change problems, honestly.
So for you, when you look at what you've discovered so far, are you seeing this as an existential threat? Is the world approaching what you fear with a sense of urgency that you would like to see? Let's look at Nigerian government, for instance. When you look at the government of Nigeria, or how Nigeria in general is approaching this issue of climate change, what do you think?
When you talk about how, like, urgent is the matter, it's really urgent, because climate change has caused a lot of drought and floods to many areas in Nigeria, and it's making farming and work very hard for the community, and all the heat waves as well. It's making work harder for us. So in terms of how the government is part of this, is like food security, food insecurity now is a matter, because with the droughts that are happening in Nigeria, farming is getting harder for people to do, and so they just decide to quit. And the government might, help, but really what we need to do is tackle the problem at hand, which is climate change, and not like try to give more money to farmers and all those things.
And talking about the problems, climate action is one of the sustainable development goals. I wonder what your assessment is of our commitment as a nation to, I believe it's goal 13 of the sustainable development goals on climate action, so to speak. And what would be your recommendations seeing these problems that you have identified?
The solutions to those problems are to just get aware, to spread awareness about the issue at hand, and to make sure that instead of just trying to tackle the problem, we actually spread awareness. Instead of just trying to tackle the problem at hand, we spread awareness to children so that they too can be like, yo, let's try and solve this, or have the mindset to try and follow along with the procedures of, climate change action and all these things.
And perhaps the biggest message of climate change is failure to act. And you were telling us some of the consequences in your video that we played earlier. I'd like you to talk to us a bit about that, the adverse effects of failing to act now.
Failing to act causes a lot of problems to the community, because it's our future generation that will inherit this planet, and if we don't act now, they will suffer in the future. And honestly, I feel like it will be a lot of hard, because I'm part of the future generation too, and I'll be the one with my fellow people that will inherit the planet. So if we don't tackle this problem now, who will? That's honestly the question. Who will?
Amazing. I love the way you put it. That way, it's more vivid. It's more, it hits home for a lot of people. I see that you have a character, a cartoon character, right? I want you to talk us through that. And I see that you brought, is it a Is it a comic? Is it a book? What exactly is it? I really love that character, the climate bender. Maybe you talk to us about the inspiration behind that, but also that book or yeah, exactly what you have. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So this character, the book was inspired by a comic. I like reading comics a lot, and so I was like, so if kids like my age like reading comics, why not make a comic about climate change to inspire young children to change to the sustainable goals and, you know, follow sustainability instead of using all these fossil fuels and continue on the cycle. So the story is basically about the real life issues that we're facing in real life, but it's a bit of fiction in it, like a bit of, you know, superhero action. And behind all that fiction is just the real life problems that we're facing and how to solve it, why we need to solve it, and, you know, the procedures that we should take as young kids that we can take.
I'd like you to read a page. I mean, we don't just want to see the cover, Climate Bender. I want to see what's inside that book. So pick a page at random. I just like to have a feel of what's inside that book as we begin to wind down. The comic, that is.
So the comic, this is the worksheet, not the comic itself. The comic is coming out November, November this year, and this is the worksheet currently, and it's just a book that I can use to go to like schools and have school tours and talk to them about it. But let me read you a page from it. The vocabulary fund. Find the missing words and fill in the blanks using the word bank below. The word bank is desert, robots, goggles, powers, machine, and river. The dash was drying up because of Dr. V's machine. The answer to this question is river. The river was drying up because of Dr. V's machine.
I was going to answer it. I was going to answer it. It's river, right? So I get a point or one for that. And I think it's beautiful how you're making it interactive for young people. It's beautiful to see. And I was going to ask what you do for fun, since you're doing a lot of serious stuff. But I see that you have blended fun into that. So while you're passing that message, you're also having fun, and other children can have fun with that. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Clearly, the future is bright. The future of our climate, of our nation, is bright. Never mind that we're not contributing as much, you know, as other continents. But the fact that we're taking responsibility for even the little
gas emissions.
that we contribute is great to see. We've been speaking with, well, you can call him the climate bender, but his real name is Abdurrahman Ali Maina, a climate change activist, 15 years old. It's great to see what you're doing, and we wish you the very best.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye. But we're not done just yet. If you ask Climate Bender at the time, you'll say it is Earth o'clock. But guess what? On the morning brief, it is time for some good music. Oh, yes. So we're bringing a wind instrument for you this morning. You don't want to miss this, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
I wish I can clap even better. Ademola Shama, saxophonist. Beautiful. You know, the way we're feeling, you know, Nigeria is stressful. So we wanted to just allow you to continue playing. But we must have a conversation. But where I want to start from is not just your journey, where we like to start from. It's the fact that a lot of people see you play, and they wish they can play, and they really want to play until you give them that thing. You're holding in your hand called the saxophone, and they realize that it just spits they're pouring inside. So, more like spittle in that sense. So tell us how you do it, first of all. Just a little technique on how to produce sound, not any other thing.
Okay, so it's quite different, but it's just like blowing a whistle. Okay. But it's just that this one, you have to put in more energy to blowing that sound. It takes a lot of air. You have to be intentional about every sound that you make. And the funny thing is, when you start, it becomes a little hard because your lips, you might start having, you know, blisters on your lips. But as time goes on, you just discover that it becomes something that you used to, so you don't have that pain anymore.
So averagely, whether the person is making meaningful sound or joyful noise or reckless noise, whatever that sound is, how long can it take to just produce sound like what you did?
Like what I did?
Yeah. Just, I'm not talking about playing as an expert, okay. Just to be able to do do or mi or whatever.
I think almost like, let me say like 1 minute.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But how long will it take for somebody to actually learn? Maybe a year, right?
It depends on anything. Everything is about consistency. So it depends. 6 months, you're good to go.
I think this is a good place to ask us how you started off. Did you start at 2? Because like every musician starts from when they were born. So tell us your own story.
Okay, so for me, I play other instruments. I play the piano, I play the drums. I started playing the drums first, then I moved to, you know, playing the piano. Then I started playing clarinet in my primary school. But I didn't know that I was really going to play the woodwind instrument because I felt like it was piano that I was going to play. But there was a time my mom was sick and she could not go to church. And when she wanted to go back to church, she said she wanted to buy an instrument of praise. So she bought a saxophone, and there was nobody to play it in church.
Oh dear.
So I had to learn to play the saxophone.
Oh, that's a very touching story, guys.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm curious about what the market is like, particularly for players of wind instruments. I know there's a huge preference for the big stars who are, you know, on the screens, either on television or online. So what is it like for those who play wind instruments? Is there a commensurate demand for your skill, for your service, as against, you know, the frontline musical performers who sing?
Oh, all right. So one of the things that we saxophone players have been grateful for is that we have had mentors that have done like a lot for us. So in the saxophone space, saxophone was not really something that people really used to want to hear, apart from in days of Fela. But in the gospel space, we have had great saxophonists like Jerry Molly, BJ Sax, and they've been able to set a standard for us. They've been able to bring out the commercial part of playing the saxophone, like playing for birthday surprise and all of that. They've been able to know that saxophone can be played anywhere. We can play jazz, we can play at weddings, we can play at any function. So I think it has made it easy for we upcoming saxophonists to, you know, find our balance in playing the instrument in the outside world.
Well, I just want you to play. I just really want you to play because we could do with some, you know, calming music. And perhaps you speak to us why the saxophone is able to pierce through your soul.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I mean, when you do classical music with the piano, you have that feeling as well. But it's like the saxophone just goes even deeper. And before you know it, it's already in your soul. Like, I didn't even give you permission. Come out. So what is it about the saxophone?
So I think for every instrument is actually spiritual, if you ask me. So, for example, now if you play the talking drum, there's just this there's just this sound that you get that makes you feel honored, especially when they played for kings and all of that. So, but for the saxophone is a soulful instrument. No matter how you might feel at any moment, when you start playing the sax, you just have that soul, it hits your soul. One of the things that we've been able to learn in playing the instrument is we are able to play the instrument till it gets the attention of everybody in that space, because naturally it's just a soulful instrument that when it's being played, you will feel that presence, basically.
Fantastic. As Kaya just said, I think we'll enjoy playing. I think it reminds me of when I used to listen to Mike Arima. It's been a while I heard of him.
Mike Arima.
Oh, yeah. I've been at concert with him. So, what are you going to play for us?
Okay, let me play Oli Oli. One of the things I love doing is, giving back to God, because playing this instrument, I used to be an asthmatic patient, and
wow.
So, and while my mom told me to brought the instrument to church, she didn't know that was my own journey of healing. So I started playing the saxophone, and I just discovered that I stopped having asthma attacks.
Wow. So, this is how long ago?
That was since 2012, 2013. I've not been.
You're a miracle, right?
Yeah. So
no more inhalers.
Just to be clear, asthma, as in that affects your breathing.
Yeah. Exactly.
You had asthma at that time, and you were using inhalers. The saxophone.
Yeah. So basically, it was not something that I even noticed at first. So when I used to have asthma, it was very serious. It's like very serious. I'll go to the hospital to nebulize me and all of that. But when the instrument came and there was nobody to play it, I just discovered that let me start playing this instrument. And as I was playing, I just discovered that I stopped having attacks. As I was playing, I just stopped. As I was playing, I just.
You looked asthma in the face. You challenged it.
So you've never been nebulized again since then?
No.
Wow.
No, I don't use nebulizer again.
Baba, please play for us. Wow.
Wow.
I don't think it would be fair for us to stop you from playing. Can you play another one?
I understand. Okay. So let me play something.
We love it. Everybody loves it. Look at everybody. beautiful. Wow. We're going to leave you without asking you, do you have an album? Do you have an EP? Do you have a track?
Yes, I have 2 albums.
Oh, really?
Online, yes.
Where can we get it?
So it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music.
So this is a good time to tell us your handle or where so that we can just...
all right.
So come body with you.
So how do we get to find you on YouTube? Or... So let's begin with YouTube first.
Okay, YouTube, just Adebola Shama. You find me on
Adebola
YouTube.
Shama.
Yeah, Adebola Shama.
All of that social media
Instagram, Adebola Shama. Every other social media handle, Adebola Shama.
That's S-H-A?
Yeah, S-H-A-M-M-A-H.
Right.
That's for the Shama on all social media platforms. Yeah, basically.
Beautiful.
So beautiful to hear
you. You are a testament that there are miracles inside the soul.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. So anything in the works? Are you working on new projects? Whatever it is you're doing now?
Yes, so I have my yearly concert every year.
Okay.
December. So this year is going to be my 7th edition of my concert. My last concert was at Redeemers University. But yes, I'm back in Lagos, and this time in Lagos. In June, I'm going to be having my live recording before my concert in December. So stay tuned, my live recording with Adebola Shama.
Beautiful. I must mention the color of your saxophone.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, nickel. It's nickel.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so
nickel.
You see the usual silver, gold. But yours, you decided to go nickel.
Yeah, nickel.
Amazing. It's beautiful.
All right, Adebola Shama, gospel saxophonist, thank you for coming and for performing. It's administration, literally.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, that's it on the program for the day. Tomorrow is a brand new week. It's going to be the exact midterm into all the persons elected into office in 2023. So we will. Brand new month, I should say. Yeah. I should have said brand new month. Brand new month, rather. So it's a month where the anniversary month, 2 years into the life of some of these administrations. So we're going to be looking at the books beyond the politics. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.
What a beautiful way to touch down on April, a miracle month. Thank you so much for being there. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
And if you feel a burden lifted from your soul, that's what music can do. So you can go back and watch this particular segment over and over again. Thank you for being a part of the show. Sunrise Daily is next. I'm Kayode Okikulu. Goodbye.